go.
Plop, plop.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Blackout Tips podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
and we're live on a Sunday morning, ready to do some podcasting. Find us everywhere you find podcasts. The official weapon of the show is
folding chair
and the unofficial sport,
bullet ball.
extreme. And today, we have a very special guest, guys. All right. He's a friend in real life and the show. He's a comedian. He's a writer. He's a podcast host for some of your favorite podcasts, Medium, Popcorn, and Drunk Black History. It's Brandon Collins. What's going on, brother? How you been, man?
Grand rising, my king and my queen. Thank you so much again, as always, for having me on Blackout Tips. It's always a revelation. I'm so glad. Happy New Year, first of all. Happy New Year.
You too, you too, brother.
The year's been wild. I don't know about y'all, but I've been listening, so I know how y'all feeling.
It's kind of wild.
Don't you feel like you kind of like are just numb at this point? You just kind of going through it and just surviving the best way you can. Like, and other people are like, "Hey, man, this is crazy." I'm like, I don't need to hear it. I already know it's crazy. I say it to myself every day. I don't need you to echo those thoughts.
Yeah, you almost have to keep your own sanity because a lot of the things that are going on, they are doing what they're designed to do, which is consistently keep you in panic. Like that's the whole purpose of the flooding. That's the whole purpose of you doing so much shit that you can't really keep track of all of the shit, because it's actually some major shit going on, but so many people are focused on the small shit that when the big shit comes, it gets mixed in with the small shit. So you really don't know how devastating or how deep in the shit you is, because it kind of all looks the same. Like that's how it's designed. So that you can actually see the big shit, you got to be like, okay, some of this stuff I got to let go, because nobody is designed to stay consistently focused like that, because it fucks with your body.
100%.
It fucks with you mentally, and eventually you will have some form of breakdown. Be it you're gonna be crying, be it you're gonna be depressed. Like something's gonna happen, because the body isn't designed to be overwhelmed like that.
100%.
Yeah, I just feel like I have too much latent anger to be out here just discussing this shit with regular people all the time, because I'm like 1 second from popping off at all times, because I just feel like my whole vibe is this is what I said, what happened.
Agreed.
So, Tati and Justin, everybody in my life is like that lately. They're like, I just want somebody to step to me and do some.
Yeah, well, I mean, for the I don't want them to step to me. Like it's literally just me being like, I understand for everyone's mental health, we should just not discuss these things, because I feel like I'm very staunch in my belief system, and I don't. And it's not limited to like this small scope of people where it's like, oh, well, MAGA, they Trump voters or Republicans. It's like I got smoke for so many people that I feel like
I do too.
Either got used or were useful to the purposes of MAGA, and that's how we got here. So it's just easier to not talk about it. That's what movies is for. It's what video games, TV is for.
That's what anime is for me.
Yeah, but it's not like you can do shit either. This is what happens when you basically when you abdicate yourself from power, the other side gets the power. So it's not there's not a middle ground. This is the point of all of 2024 for us, which is educating people that there isn't a middle ground. We had listeners write in from like other countries and be like, how can you support Joe Biden and all this shit? And I'm like, because there's not a middle ground in America, and y'all are about to find out what it is to not see that.
Two very different sides of the spectrum. And what's wild is I've learned, especially in 2024, I left a lot of shit behind. I've been like, especially my anger and like things I can't control, you know what I mean? And, I've embraced that people are not going to be aware of history the way that I am, obviously for Drunk Black History. Just in general, I've always been a fan of history, and I found out, a few years ago, my half-sister's huge into history. So I'm like, oh yeah, we're definitely related. But when you know American history, and you know about McCarthyism, for instance, right? Like that dark time of politics where people were being prosecuted. It was incredibly tense. No one trusted each other. Joe McCarthy, his protege was Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn's protege was Donald Trump. So all this shit is just repeating itself. Like, no one, like, if you knew about American history, you could predict a lot of the stuff that's going to happen. It happens every like few decades, depending on how big the event is, whether it's epidemic, terrorist attack, crooked politicians, like. And so for people to be so shocked the past few weeks, like, oh my God, this is like really happening. He really pardoned everybody. I'm like,
yeah, I'm not.
I'm tired of being I'm not even the smartest dude in like I know. Like I'm not even I'm just well read, if I'm being completely honest. I'm really well read. And I'm like, come on, y'all. This isn't even the hard stuff that I know.
No, not
it's
yet.
not. It's like they don't understand. So similar to Roderick, and I'm not gonna say Roderick as much chiller than me. I have a lot of anger in me about Donald Trump that has been sitting since he won the first time. Like a whole lot of anger that's literally been sitting for years. And some of these people, their anger just started. I don't know if they understand it. Like their anger and their action that they're fuck him. For some of them, it just started. But for me, this has been a stewing thing. And so I'm like, Roger, I don't want to talk to you, because if I start talking to you, all the anger and all the sadness and all the depression and all the I told you so, it's just going to poof.
Yeah.
And then we all gonna fall out. So because I'm gonna allow you to go through the process of grief like I went through, because for a lot of people, they're actually literally going through a process of grief for this country, a process of grief for what they thought this country was, a process of grief for the country letting them down for the first time, like they're literally going through what America really is. Because for some people, I understand, they really thought that America was going to live up to the lie that it tells people. And I get that, because everybody's
you
like that.
Otherwise, you lose your mind. Otherwise, what's the point?
Right. For me, that facade vanished when Trump got elected. For me, that was my awakening. I can't speak for nobody else. That was my awakening that, this country, and you can know that this country is built on slavery. You can know, but for some reason it fools people, particularly a lot of black people, to believe that this crop of white people is different. This crop of white people ain't gonna for real. They're not gonna fall for the same thing. Not realizing the white supremacy is in their blood, and unless and unless they reject the foundation of it, it's going to be a problem. You have a few of them that will, but and that's the problem. So I understand people's shock and I understand people's dismay, but for me, I'm on the other side of that. So I'm very angry, I'm very sad, I'm very depressed, and because of that, I don't want to blow that out on you, and next thing you know, we unnecessarily become enemies. Yeah. Because you're gonna look at me as an enemy and I'm gonna look at you as an enemy, and it's one of these things where that's where the conversation stops. This is what happens a lot of times on the left. That's where the conversation stops, because everybody on the left calls everybody stupid, and everybody on the left says that their way is the right way and there is no other way. Yeah. But then we don't actually say, well, what do we have in common and what do we have difference? And are we willing to throw this whole thing away for a percentage, for 2% or 3%? We'll go, no, fuck it, let's burn the whole thing down.
I also have a theory that, and this is really wild, but I want y'all to stick with me on this. I have a theory that the regulation of comedies to streaming and not theatrical, like the way we used to have big, funny, raunchy comedies and stuff like that. I think that's gone to what Karen's talking about, with that lack of not even nuance, but just ability to kind of laugh at ourselves sometimes, right? Because I think that's sometimes where people can find common ground, is when they can laugh at how absurd some of these beliefs and people are, right? We don't do that anymore. We're so fucking isolated with TikTok and everything. But last year, 2024, for me was personally the year where I'm like, okay, Brandon, like you've gone through a lot of shit the past year, especially like in the industries and, trying to find full-time work and stuff like that. No one is going to save you. No politician, no person in your network. Only you can really control what happens next, right? And after like embracing that, I've had to push a bunch of shit aside that I can control, like with what Gordon does with his shit, what's happening with society, like family stuff. I'm like, I can only control what I can control, and I need to wholeheartedly believe that. And so that's why, like, I keep my ear to the ground with like what's happening politically, because I kind of have to now, especially with the show and going on the road, because there's gonna be some states where I might have to like really be on keep my head on a swivel. You know what I mean? Like where I might I got to be aware of who's around me anyone potentially follow me after a show. You know what I mean? I gotta be worried about maybe some hecklers. I gotta like talk to these venues about security because, and people might be thinking like, Brandon, that's a bit extreme and stuff like that. No, I'm teaching Black history that literally is being eradicated from. Like just was it of 2 days ago or something? Trump signed with the DEI stuff. I didn't know that that was going to impact like the history of the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yep.
And black female soldiers and pilots. Like, what the fuck are we doing? They're literally erasing American history just because it includes black and brown people.
Right.
So, and it's and honestly, like, it's sad, but the stuff like what you're doing with Drunk Black History is essentially now along passed along a long line of people in our ancestry that has preserved Black history because they knew that the state wouldn't, and they knew that white people were constantly trying to erase it. And so now you've joined this lineage, you know, something that I'm sure when you started it did not have as high and lofty goals, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't mean that in any negative way. I mean that like when you started it, it was like this is gonna be fun.
Yeah,
we're gonna like, even just the idea of getting drunk to it is like it's like mirth, you know, like we're having a good time, but we are learning.
100%.
Right.
And now it's got to take on like a version of like, it's just weird. It's like society's so fucked up now that it's like, thank God for Brandon Collins out there getting drunk and talking about Black history, because literally they're taking it out of our schools, they're taking it out of our government institutions, they're taking it out of the military, they're taking it, like they're trying to erase our contributions, and one day someone will be learning about this history from Drunk Black History archives. That's how fucked up shit has gotten now, that they're gonna be like, these niggas on Hennessy, but let me tell you something, I learned a thing or two. Did y'all know that they integrated the military in this year? It's like, well, how else was I supposed to learn? It's not on the fucking website. Military doesn't put it in their curriculum anymore. I can't get it at a school. Like, you guys are now on the front lines.
Yeah, and I do want to shout out, like, there's another like version of Drunk Black History that's in Atlanta. They do like some really great things from what I've seen on their own social media and stuff. Like, this isn't an original idea. I think that's what people, you know, I think kind of sometimes like with the whole stuff that happened with Gordon, people were dismissing it because they're like, this isn't the most original idea. I'm like, yes, that's true, but he was just stealing everything I did. Like, Drunk Black History is a very straightforward idea, and I love seeing other people in different cities doing it. I think I'm just very fortunate to have a vast network where I can start doing this shit nationally. Right, like I have direct lines to venues and talent where I'm like able to do this in different cities. So I'm very fortunate to do that. Little nervous just because again, like it's, you know, it's Black history. I want to take it seriously, but still have some levity and some fun to it. But you know, because the New York Comedy Festival.
I think that's the other thing too, though. Like when you brought up comedy earlier and saying how going to streaming, you know, taking away the big tentpole comedy out of the theater has kind of changed some things about America. I feel like America is less serious, and I feel like the comedy is more divided, meaning like people like comedy now, but a lot of their comedy is like, can you pick on these people over here, as opposed to like, let's just come together and laugh at the things that we share in common or whatever, or the things that make us all human. And I'm not saying like people should like have to, like, I don't think you should be like, listen, to me, bigotry is the same thing as wanting trans people to have the right pronouns or whatever. Like, I don't think those are like equal and opposite the way Bill Maher pitches that kind of bullshit. But the idea of having a place where you could experiment and laugh is kind of done in general, like for everyone. Like I say, I just saw one of them days, and one of the things I liked about it was, it's a silly comedy. Like, it's a silly tentpole. Like, they're not like, there's stuff in there if you want to take more deeper meaning, but the purpose of it was not to give you some existential meaning. It was not to make you like cry at the end.
Yeah, it's not a Pixar movie or a
Exactly,
Spider-Verse movie. It's just a funny, silly shit.
Yeah,
but we got to do
we've
that.
lost that. We've lost, like, we don't get those very often anymore, and definitely not in theaters. Normally those joints are straight to streaming. So yeah, I feel you. And then the other thing I wanted to say too, before I move on with it, was people don't read, and it doesn't seem like it's that big a deal because everyone's like, well, we got the TVs and we can watch the documentaries, or we got the the podcast or we got the whatever. I'm telling you, not reading it has fucked us so bad because a lot of the history's in the books, and people are very not curious about history. And they going off of vibes, and vibes will fool you because vibes will make you feel like you progressed because you don't know what the backlash looks like. You don't know what regression looks like. You don't know that this happened before. When you see people say stuff like, especially black people, like these ain't my ancestors, you can get these hands, and that, to me, that's a person who has let me know that they're ignorant to history. Like I have never read a book, you know, and it's important that I'm the reason I'm saying this is because like I'm reading this book, I'm almost done with it, I'm using ourselves to death, but like the book, the long form like argument and cogent, like this is my thesis, this is what I'm presenting you. It requires something of the reader and their attention span and their ability to reason that kept them abreast of things. I'm not saying it was always used for good shit. Obviously, people wrote fucked up books as well as good ones. But the point is, once we move to TV and radio, like things like radio's a little less coherent, although it's still good long form and
storytelling. Orson Welles, he freaked out the nation doing
exactly. Yeah, so radio can be powerful
history.
And can work. Yeah, history.
That's gonna be my new Kenny Ivory Wade's thing.
Yeah,
history.
And then TV, of course, really expanded like media to people, but a lot of it is just junk, and meaning that it does not require
access to. That's what a lot of white folks forget. Y'all had exposure to the boob tube and other stupid shit that diluted your intelligence way before black folks did. We were still reading shit while y'all watching TV and stuff like that.
Right. Like and so with TV, a lot of that is the immediacy of things, meaning that for a good TV program, a lot of times it requires that it has to require the least of the audience, meaning I need to write, like when we wrote for Game Theory, we had to write every episode like you hadn't seen the episode before and weren't gonna watch the episode after. Like a book literally can't operate like that. Like every chapter has to be like, if you didn't read the chapter before this, what the fuck's wrong with you? Go back to that shit so you know what happened, right? And I'm not talking about trivial stuff like entertainment, serialized TV, because I think that is where TV actually excels. I actually think, honestly, I think the best use of TV is shit like First Take with Stephen A. Smith. That's probably the best use of TV. It's supposed to be a bit frivolous. It's supposed to be, you know, like a sideshow, and we're supposed to get entertainment. Like the worst use of TV is probably Stephen A. Smith talking about politics, right? Yes. Because then it's like, no, this frivolity that we isolated for something not too serious, like who won a sporting event. Now I don't need this talking about who should be president because you're not a serious person. The reason we like you on the other show is that you're a puppet and you're a Muppet. Hey, I'm gonna start giving it. We're not here for your levity, and so that's TV. Then we're now on this shit. You know what I mean? This shit right here.
TikTok has fucked up everything.
Yeah, this shit right here requires even less than TV. Like it almost abhors the idea of context and knowing more and what came before. And everything is condensed to like the bite-sized nugget of something, even whether it be truth or false. The way misinformation is spread on it, the way people have taken political ideology out of context so that they can frame something in a way that actually like punishes you for thinking, punishes you for context.
Yes.
You know, whenever we've all seen this on the internet before, where like someone's tried to bring in context to something and then they get fried. Like where they're like, say someone's like, for example, Joe Biden didn't pass all these executive orders. Why didn't he do it? And you're like, well, actually he did on day one. And there's actually video of him at the Oval Office, like literally doing exactly what Trump doing, signing executive orders, talking to the media, taking questions. And then and it's like people are like, well, fuck that. He didn't do it good enough. It's like, whoa. All I did was provide context for something you obviously were missing. You were literally wrong.
People do not like to be told. People do not like to have to acknowledge that they're wrong or they don't know something. And that's what makes me most terrified about what's ahead. Because we can't even have people that are humble enough and you know your life situation, you know how you were educated, you know probably if you look at a piece of paper with words on it, you're going to struggle with that because I think we have a lot of undiagnosed learning disabilities in this country because of the fear stigma from parents and families and stuff like that, and also lack of resources in schools to provide support for those disabilities. And so I think I've had legit like similar conversations, Rod, in person, where it's like you don't know this. Like I remember I'm not gonna say who was with, but Tati and I were watching TV upstairs with someone, and Conclave, the trailer for the Ray Fiennes movie came on. And this person was just like, "Oh, they're gonna talk about murder and sex in the Vatican, stuff like that." I'm like, "Have you seen this movie?" And they're like, "No, but that's what it's about." I'm like, "I've seen this movie 3 times. That's not at all what it's about." And then they just refuse to acknowledge that they didn't know. They're like, "Well, that's not what I heard." I'm like, "I've literally seen this with my eyes and ears." Like, that's
and that's very scary. I think the thing about human beings have always had the want and the need and the desire to be in groups. Okay, like it's human nature. Most human beings cannot function solo and alone for long periods of time, even though there's some parts of your life where you have to walk alone because can't nobody walk that walk but you. But there are periods of time where people want to be a part of the group, a part of the clique. It starts really, really young, elementary school, middle school, high school, and a lot of people think it stopped there. No, it goes on into adulthood. Like it literally goes on. Whatever field of career you in, there are groups and cliques in it and shit like that. And some people fail to realize because of that, nobody ever wants to be outside of the group. And as the populace has gotten dumbed down, and as the populace has gotten not as smart as they think they are, nobody wants to do anything to go against the group. So if the group is dumb, you're going to be dumb. If the group tells you that this is what it is, you don't have enough individuality to go and figure it out and find it out and dig who, what, when, where, why, and how. That is gone. Nobody wants to do that. Like that's the part that requires you to log off that bitch and actually go and do some research. Nobody wants to do that. It's part
interesting because we have more access to information than ever. But the information is less vetted than ever. Meaning that if I want to look up something about vaccines, I have to compete with a algorithm that no longer values being correct and just values what is the most clickable result. So suddenly Google is telling me ivermectin is as equally valuable as the CDC. And we're seeing like these tech bros and stuff that cozy up to Trump, that is actually their ideal scenario. They actually they did not like the pressure from the Biden administration and from Democrats that was like, hey, you should run your websites in a fact-based way. Right. When people put in a certain search, the things that come up should be things that are verifiable from organizations that have done this work. Right. And not just here's Joe Rogan's podcast because that's what you'll click on. You're gonna have to sacrifice some clicks, and honestly, they clearly did not like that because they're all Team Trump now. Because they're like, and mostly because Trump and them is like, whatever, get money, do your thing. But yeah, I find like a lot of this stuff to me seems to just be about the internet now, and even to the point where you said, Brandon, you were talking to someone in real life, and that's the thing. That's how strong the social media impact has been.
Yes.
Real life imitates social media now, not the other way around. Where I think when social media started, the whole promise of it was, here's the internet, but it's going to mirror real life. You're gonna make friends from places you've never visited. It's gonna be like real life, guys. It's not strange, it's not weird. And we started with, this is weird, I don't know. And eventually we started accepting it. It's like, no, I've met friends. I would call myself friends to some people I've never even seen in person before. Yes. We saw Mike Brown last night performing, old Mike B, doing comedy. He hit us up. We didn't know he was in town or whatever. We came out and saw him, hugged them, we're talking, like, that's my friend. Yes. Like that, like, so I don't want people to hear this and think I'm casting aspersions on throw out this whole thing, but it also has changed us fundamentally to where a person saying something like that about a movie they didn't see would have been like, nigga, are you crazy? Like, you didn't watch it. But like now it's kind of like, a lot of shit is like that, where people are like, I didn't experience this thing, I don't have much information on this thing, but I have opinions. And it's like we've empowered that. Like, you always have to have a take. One of the biggest things to me was like the pressure of when people used to say stuff like silence is complicity, and I would be like, but sometimes people don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and they need to shut the fuck up and learn. They need to actually learn. Like, when you start putting that pressure on people, that's no longer about them being right. That's no longer about them learning. That's about us putting the pressure of the group on a person to make them conform, which sounds like something that's important, but it's actually could be a little bit misguided, because you end up with situations where people turn out to be uninformed because all they've been doing is mirroring the social construct that they've been experiencing. So I think a lot of this is chickens coming home to roost with the internet is what I was trying to say. Go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like the internet's made us incredibly lonely, which is ironic because it's supposed to connect everybody. I mean, I just was hanging out with a close friend of mine over the weekend, and we don't we talk on the text all the time, but we don't hang out in person as much. And a goal of mine this year is really to hang out with more people in person. Like, even if we're just going to a park, because both of us broke or something like that, I just want to hang out in person, right? And he was like, "Oh yeah, man, like I would hit you up. I just always think you're busy." I'm like, "Well, I always think you're busy." He's like, "No, I'm just at home." And I'm like, "Oh, we're both just at home. Well, we could be hanging out with each other, you know what I mean?" And I don't think enough people are vulnerable and open enough to talk about that and have the realization that actually we should lean on each other even more now, because there's a lot of things in this world that are incredibly isolating. I mean, the whole situation with Trump is like, I've had anger for him since even before the escalator, when he was just harassing Obama about citizenship. And I was really mad because I'm like, you just ruined my ability to watch my favorite season of reality TV show, which is the season of The Celebrity Apprentice, where Lil Jon, Meatloaf, and Gary Busey were on the same goddamn season. And it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. I cannot rewatch that now. And so I've had a long time to digest this anger and figure out a positive, creative, way to get it out. That's not detrimental to my health or the people around me. But for the people that are just now kind of like going through shit, I'm like, okay, if you're young, I can maybe see it because this might be like your first president. You know what I mean? That like you actually voted, like you were in the voting process. Like my sister-in-law, this is the first election she ever got to vote, right? So she's going through her own feelings and stuff like that, even though she fucked up her ballot, because these young people aren't going to save us. That's another reason why I agree to that mantra. I'm like, oh, you know how they used to say the youth will save us? I don't think so.
Right.
Because they're growing up on TikTok. They have no attention spans. Everything gives them anxiety. I have anxiety. But literally, I've seen young people, like, they can't order a bagel without, like, freaking out. You're like,
they are talking to college professors, and a lot of college professors are saying, like, they're dealing with people coming in to like the classes and things, like, and they was like, if something goes wrong, if they don't make the grade they think they should make, just interpersonal skills, they was like, we have so many students just having breakdowns, and they was like, some of these things are things that they should have coped with and learned like much earlier before they walked into my classroom, because nobody, you don't know everything when you get to college, but there are some like basic skills that you need to be able to function. They're like, oh, y'all don't even have like some basic functional skills to help you.
I wonder about that, because I think part of it also is like, as adults, we've failed these kids in such tremendous ways that like we've allowed school shootings. Like that's a thing that we did not grow up with, that these kids grew up with. Obviously the stuff with the economy, obviously letting people be in power unchecked, especially social media. Like, I'm not talking about politicians really, I'm talking about like the real powers in like Facebook and Instagram. And that's where these kids grew up. A lot of their experience has been, because it's stuff that many of us, we didn't have our whole lives, we had part of our lives. So we had like a outside structure, and then we applied it to the social media. If you just grew up and Instagram was always a thing, and now you're college age, the things we know, the unchecked regulations on social media and stuff in America, we know that they've experimented with people's like ability, like, can we make someone depressed? We know that suicide rates have gone up for like young girls. We know that harassment and stuff has, become part and parcel of just being online. And we know also that the white men in charge of these things actually think that is how it should run, right? They're very much like, hey man, freedom of speech. I should be able to call you the N-word. And if you want to call me honk it back, hey, as long as we're both talking. And it's just like, so these kids have grown up very unsafe in general because we have not made a safe society for them. And so it makes sense to me that by the time you're college age, it like everything's triggering. Everything's because it's a bit of a different reality than what we grew up with. Mostly because our generation let them grow up in a fucked up reality like this. And so this is not a point against you. So it's not an argument, but I'm just saying, like, it makes sense to me that these kids would have different, like, conflict resolution in real life and challenges and stuff probably would hit them a little bit differently than us. Cause I know our generation grew up with our own hangups, but a lot of our shit was very self-reliance. It was latchkey kids. It was, well, then you got to do better in school or what. Like, it was toughen up, man up. It's not saying those things are great or good,
right?
But it's just a different generational approach that left us with other different hangups. And I can see how these kids will be affected by it.
But there's a level of grit that's just missing from this new generation. I think that's what's frustrating, right? Because like what you just said, Rob, which is like, you have to pivot and like, figure out stuff yourself, right? I don't see any of that in this younger generation. Their critical problem solving skills are just not.
Let me say this though. One of the reasons I think we don't see it is because there was a time when that grit there was fruition on the other side of that grit. So like, buckle up, save your money, you can get a house was a thing for our generation that does not exist for these kids now.
Does not.
It's buckle up, save for a closet in the bed stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Go to college, you'll get a degree, you'll go into debt, but you'll make money afterwards and pay off your student loans. That is no longer a reality. So we're looking at these.
That is.
Yeah, and we're looking at these kids and saying, why can't you out tough this? And I think these kids very astutely are like, I can't, and it just makes me want to give the fuck up because you guys have me going through the motions of an American dream that is no longer deliverable. And I think sadly that's why a lot of the nihilism of the youth of like, just fuck it, let Trump be in charge, or I don't give a fuck, both of the parties suck. I think that kind of nihilism has been emboldened because these things, we talk to these kids like it hasn't changed when it has.
Go ahead,
Karen, please.
100% agree. And it's also, one of those things where our generation and even the generation before us don't want to take responsibility. It's like every generation blames the next generation, like the next generation is responsible, even though we're the one passing the laws. Like, our generation is the one passing the laws. Our generation, before your child was even voting, we're the ones voting. We're the one putting people in office. Like we're allowing these things. We're not putting a mandate and a demand on politicians to do the shit that they're supposed to do so that the next generation won't have to deal with this. And then we're looking at the kids going, yeah, we fucked it up. We know we fucked it up. We know that you ain't gonna be able to have clean water, clean air, but fuck it. I'm gonna be able to take my shit and die and be okay.
You know what's even worse is when we do put those demands on politicians and they deliver. Like, because a lot of the Biden administration stuff was delivered. Like,
yes,
this is an objective point of view. Like, this isn't about cheerleading anybody. Just go look at what he was campaigning on. Go look at the stuff he accomplished in office and the things that he did. You're talking about your job growths, that he never had a quarter of job. He never had job loss in a single month, period. That's fucking insane. That's not happening again. And it definitely won't happen under Trump. Like, for first few months,
I lost my job, but it's not his fault.
Yeah. And for the first few months, it'll be Trump taking credit for Biden's economy. And then the shit will start tanking. And then it'll be like, oh, Biden must have did it. But the student loan, he didn't even fucking campaign on the student loan forgiveness. He fought like shit to try to get everybody's student loans forgiven to the Supreme Court, for the record, which this corrupt ass thing threw it out. We like a lot of this stuff. He passed the Green New Deal. He passed the most effective climate change legislation we have literally had, period, ever. That happened on his watch. These are things that kids care about because they're going to be the ones that inherit this earth. And so I think the scarier part of what we're saying is that even when a politician does govern in that way, it is spun in a way to these kids because we have social media. This is not,
I see what you're saying.
they're not reading a book. They're not
Right.
getting this in long form. They're not checking in these press conferences. They're not, even our newspapers are more imitating social media. The writers for newspapers are more concerned with Twitter than they are with real life. Look at how they write. And so, and Trump is our most Twitter president of all time, right? Like I know he's not on twitter.com now, but he is the most emblematic. Yeah, he's the most emblematic of our social media age. Brandon brought up something earlier where he talked about The Apprentice, and that Trump he was good frivolity, right? He's on a TV show, and we're supposed to take him as that level of serious. He's entertainment. America has decided that entertainment is what our politics is. So he's president twice. And so that lesson for these kids has to be so overwhelming that they kind of have to give into it, like many of our institutions did.
Right.
A newspaper should not be giving in to Trump. CNN and MSNBC, they shouldn't be giving. They should be like, this is all facts. We just do fact-based talking. But instead, it's more entertainment than it is about education or even information at this point. And so I think that's why we're seeing like these generational differences come to bear, because I think these kids looked around and said, we're cooked and I just don't give a fuck anymore. I'm gonna go listen to Rogan, or I'm gonna go fucking listen to the Young Turks, or I'm gonna fucking like just go look at TikToks of people shaking ass. Who cares anymore?
I had a random question as we were talking about social media and like, Rod, you mentioned Facebook and Instagram. Where the fuck is Jeff from MySpace? He's the one that kicked all this shit off.
Yeah. Well, shout out. First of all, I respect.
We don't hold him accountable.
I respect him. I have a T-shirt with him on it. I wore it yesterday, I believe. And I respect him the most. Tom from MySpace, I believe.
Tom from MySpace. Okay, why did I think it was Jeff?
But he looked like a Jeff. He looked like any white one syllable name. But Tom from MySpace, the things that I appreciate about him, one, he knew friends were important, and he knew ranking our friends was important. He knew that we needed that top 8, okay, to let you know where you stand. So people be on their best behavior. You always want to be in that top 8.
He taught everybody HTML, baby. He taught everybody.
He taught us HTML.
Yeah. People learned it.
He let you come to someone's page, get some cool vibes. What kind of music are they listening to? Honestly, MySpace may have been. MySpace may have actually been the peak of our social media. It may have been the best app of social media we've ever had. Looking back, you know what I never saw on fucking Tom's MySpace? A motherfucker telling me take ivermectin. Never once. I never went on there and like somebody was creating a troll account to dox me. Not once was I doxed. It was for people that were either my real friends or people that were looking for real friends.
Right.
It wasn't like, you know what? It wasn't on MySpace really. Like, people hadn't yet got into like the influencer economy yet. Right. Not that there weren't very popular people like Tila Tequila or somebody like that, but like the impact. Yeah, but the impact of a Dane Cook or Tila Tequila was entertainment. It wasn't like
entertainment.
Tila Tequila say we need to be voting for Bush. Like, it was like we was like, what? No, we want to see some titties. That's what she's there for. You know, Dane Cook, he's there to entertain us. We're not supposed to be like, he's not a guru, you know. And I feel like MySpace was a happier time. And honestly, the thing that made MySpace so great, you didn't mind logging off.
No, you didn't.
You didn't need it 24/7. There was no doom scroll. It was no, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me see what Brandon's up to.
It took so much to find other people in MySpace, unless they were your top 10. That's why you had a top 10 to be like, yo, these are my niggas, but also I need to get to their page easily.
Like, exactly. And it was like, and if I clicked on it and said, what's Brandon up to? You know what it was? It was whatever Brandon was up to.
Like, really up to.
Brandon went to the movies today.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It wasn't like, here's Brandon's thoughts on the war in Gaza. Like, it was very rare that we did that. It's celebrities. Celebrities were there to be like, hey, it's me from Third Eye Blind. We got a new song out. It wasn't, it's me from Third Eye Blind. hey, make America great again. Like it was like, hey, no, that's not for here, you know.
Random aside about Third Eye Blind. I met a woman in LA who told me that they dated the lead singer Stephen Jenkins. And I was hanging at a bar and I was like, "You dated Stephen Jenkins?" She's like, "Why are you a black dude who knows the name of the lead singer of Third Eye Blind?" I was like, "Good for you."
Checkmate.
I was just like, why do I know that? But yeah.
Well, like, why wouldn't I know that? I know you're like, this is normal.
I miss
Media Popcorn fans know this about me. I used to rollerblade around Ann Arbor, Michigan with my fanny pack and CD player. I used to listen to Third Eye Blind. That was my job on the weekend. I didn't want to be home, y'all.
Yeah, I can see it. Listen, simpler times. And you know why you weren't worried about it? No one's gonna post you on social media
and make fun.
What are they gonna do? Put you on their MySpace page and everybody's gonna go, we don't even know who this guy is. But now, if you did that shit, bro, you be trending. Okay, well, somebody somewhere will be like, look at this nigga
and trying to take away your black card.
WorldStarHipHop.com post Brandon Collins. We need to dox this nigga.
We need to say black.
Yeah,
and that's what you see a bunch of them posts.
And I don't even know that they're recording like that kind of video, so I'm just waving at them like, "Hey,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, guys,
just waved at me."
Yeah,
I have a bit about when I was in second grade. I used to read Animorph books, and I didn't really have many friends like on the playground and stuff, so I would read on a bench. I remember this kid Tyrone walked by me. He was like, "You reading ass nigga," and I was like, "I'm just in school. Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
I remember one time a bully knocked my books out of my hand into the mud at Hardin High School. And it was like nerd, and I was like, nigga, we all need them books. The fuck? How does that make sense? Yeah. Anyway, it was a textbook. It wasn't like comic books. It was nigga, you should have books too. We're at school.
That's why Rod and I are comedy writers, because we're just like, hey, we need this.
They lucky I didn't turn Republican on these nights, okay? They lucky I'm a real one. Brandon, speaking of being a real one, can you tell everybody about your upcoming Black History? Drunk Black History Live?
Drunk Black History is a show where we highlight Black historical figures and events that just haven't gotten their due, which is all Black history. And I bring on comedians, field experts, personalities sometimes, influencers, all kinds of people that are from the community, and we just shoot the shit while drinking. The live events, we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of audience participation. We will be ramping up the drinking this year just because we're going through a lot of shit, y'all. So be prepared for like moments where we're like, hey, shot time and things like that. It's going to be incredible. I got an amazing panel of guests in every city. I'm going to be hitting the road, starting first in Los Angeles at Dynasty Typewriter. It's also going to be live stream for folks that are looking to join us virtually. Then coming back to Brooklyn at Littlefield on February 28th. So LA is February 21st. In New York is February 28th. Then the following Thursday, I'm going to be Austin, Texas at Creek in the Cave. First show there after it's moved from New York. I'm incredibly excited. That's going to be on March 6th. And then we're setting a Boston date for May, so be able to look out for that. And then Detroit, Michigan on June 20th. So hitting the road with Drunk Black History, going all over the country. Incredibly excited. My wife Tati's going to be with me. So for those of you that are fans of Tatiana, I always want to meet her. She's going to be on the road with me. Justin Brown from Media Popcorn might be making an appearance at the Austin show. So drunkblackhistory.com for the tickets, for all that stuff. You can also watch videos of old shows if you would like. It's all on the website. And I'm actually going to be launching a brand new website tomorrow, but still drunkblackhistory.com for all that stuff.
Man, very excited for you, very proud for you, very happy for you, man. Really love the work that you're doing, love the work that you've done. And it's very inspirational, man. And it's funny too, because the places and the people that are gonna be popping up at this is just getting bigger and better. So I love to see that. And taking it on the road is gonna allow people that typically wouldn't have been able to come out to New York to be in these other places. So I'm looking forward to that for all of it.
I'm actually gonna have your former boss on the New York show. I didn't even talk. I haven't even talked about the lineup. I tried not to really emphasize the lineup because sometimes people have to cancel, and I don't like people to be disappointed when someone is unable to make it. I usually get them on another one, but it's I just don't like doing that. But Bomani Jones is going to be in our Brooklyn show. Which is fantastic.
Do you already know what Bomani's talking about?
I am, but I'm not going to say it. I don't like to share the topics ahead.
Okay, I just wanted. I have.
Oh, I'll text you what it is though, so you know.
Okay, I'm gonna text you.
He knew immediately.
I'm gonna text you and. I'm gonna text you and ask, but I'm not. I this feels like inside baseball, and I don't think Bomani would do this on TV, but I just texted you a name, but you let me know because I this is something me and him text each other about, but I'm like, I don't think the public's ready to know the story of this man.
Oh my
So
God, it is.
nigga, what?
Yeah, like folks. If you don't know, like when I reach out to talent, I explain them to them the show, and then I'm like, hey, I can send you a list of Black historical figures or events, and then you can let me know if anything resonates. And he immediately responded, and it's yep, that's what he's doing.
My man.
I was like, all right.
Hey, listen, that show is the same night that we're doing our live show in Charlotte.
I know.
But I'm telling y'all, I don't know, like you gotta find a way to
recording it. We're gonna be recording
it. Okay, yeah, you're gonna like whether you get our recording later or you get their recording later, or you gotta go. If you can be there in person, I definitely think you should be there in person for this story Bo's gonna tell, because nigga, we talk about this shit a lot. And yeah, absolutely, man, that's gonna be one. I won't spoil it, but oh my god, I knew it. I fucking knew it.
Yeah, that's gonna be a heavy one. We're gonna be drinking a lot during that story.
Yeah, I saw him. I'm gonna see him Friday for Basketball Jones in Raleigh.
Okay.
We're talking about some sports stuff with Duke.
That's so funny.
And yeah, I'm gonna tell him about this little story, like how, yeah, man, I knew who you wanted to talk about. But nah, man, I'm very excited for you, bro. That's real cool, man. And like, especially like in this environment now.
And I'm getting booked, and I haven't announced it yet because the ticket link's not up, but I actually got booked for a special like one-off event in February as well in New York. That I'll be sharing on social media. I'm not gonna be, because the org that I'm working with, they're gonna be like doing the most promotion on it. But I got another special Drunk Black History show in New York, so people are reaching out, people are wanting to connect, and do the show, and you know, it's enough where I'm like, I don't need to be worried about what other people are trying to do. You know, what I mean? Absolutely. It's like, you know, I can kind of close that, like cloud that out now. Which is great, because last year I was stressing about it a lot.
When they make the movie about you years from now, okay, and about Black history, it's gonna be called Freedom Drinkers, and it's gonna be about this tour.
When Ken Burns is doing a documentary on you,
all the things you had to go through.
I love that white man.
In 2026, he went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and did Drunk Black History.
Yep.
Reclaiming it for people.
Yeah, we telling us all your background stories.
One sip at a time. Well, nah, man, I'm looking forward to that. I want to talk about other stuff with you as well, like some current event type shit. The Oscars is coming. I know you do medium popcorn, so you're all about the movies. You see everything.
Yes.
Is there like a favorite for you for movie of the year that you think you'd like to see win?
Well, I was really frustrated not to see Sing Sing in there. That like it felt very like we're reverting back to the time where there can only be one Black centric thing that gets nominated for anything. It seems like they chose Nickel Boys over Sing Sing. I mean, Sing Sing got, you know, Coleman Domingo, first Black actor to get back-to-back noms, and Best Actor following Denzel. And so for Best Picture though, I gotta be honest, out of the ones that are picked, I would say it goes Honora, Nickel Boys, then Conclave, and everything else. That's mine. Wicked would be like probably number 4. But I've rewatched Wicked, and I'm like, there's some pacing issues that I didn't notice after the first time I saw it. Honora, like I watched that with Tati, I watched it with some friends, and it's a weird movie, but like everyone fucking loves it. Like it's surprisingly really funny. For those who don't know, it's about this dancer who meets this young Russian kid, and basically she gets looped into this whirlwind romance that she thinks is legit, and it's a whole crazy thing. But this Oscars is very interesting because it's very much for like cinephiles and movie lovers, and not necessarily for like the general audience. You know what I mean? Like, I think that people watch.
I wonder if part of that is also because there was not a lot of Marvel movies. There was not a lot of like big, you know, there's no Star Wars. There's nothing like. So I feel like people, to some extent, got out of the habit of going to the movies. And we didn't even have like the hype train of like a Barbenheimer or something that could like, that got people that normally wouldn't necessarily go to the movies to be like, but I gotta see these movies this year. It felt like everything was kind of almost indie or a bit offbeat.
Yeah, I mean, I think the movie going is like increasing, which is good for the business. It's not great from my experience because people are getting worse in the movie theaters. I'll be
Right,
honest.
right.
But this year, 2025, there's a lot of original content coming out. So,
Yeah,
folks, if
yeah.
you want original ideas that are made by great filmmakers, like even if like the movie isn't great, give it a shot, right? Like we need
Mhm.
to go and support these filmmakers so we can get more original IP and not like reboots and sequels of everything. If you complain about that, you gotta go see these original films by Paul T. Anderson, by Ryan Coogler, by other like great directors that are doing their thing and like
Mhm.
trying to do original ideas and not just do the Marvel stuff. Because we've seen what happens when you oversaturate that, right? You start
Right,
diluting it, or you get the Sony shit, whatever the hell
right.
is happening over there, right? So please,
Yeah, I
please
noticed
support these original ideas.
Craven didn't get any nominations. I was a little surprised by that.
Not even for
That
CGI for Taylor Johnson's abs. I'm kidding; those are
Right.
real. I've
no.
seen them in person; they're real,
Yeah. Oh no, I
and they're
know that.
real.
Listen, you can tell those cum gutters from a mile away. Okay, that guy hasn't seen a carb in 17 years.
I mean, that's I'm sure his wife is a lovely person, but like
Yeah,
she's significantly older than him. And I'm like, bro,
yeah,
you're like, you can literally get anybody, any
I
man,
know.
woman thing. That's commendable.
But
I'm like,
but
hey,
you know what?
love is love.
Honestly, I think there's a secret hot person challenge going on right now. I'm glad you brought this up. I think secretly hot people are having a contest because I've been looking around. Lenny Kravitz is like, oh, I haven't had sex in many, many years. I'm celibate now. And you're like, damn, you celibate. Then you got Hugh Jackman, you got Aaron Tyler Johnson or whatever, Taylor Johnson, and these guys that are like married to these like very respectable older women and stuff. And Hugh Jackman finally lost. He finally hopped off the train. It's like, I'm just gonna date a hot chick
Yeah.
that is also famous because that's what it is. But there's like a thing where people are starting to share, like I've met Redman just shared he hasn't had sex in 2.5 years and stuff. I feel like there's a secret contest to be like, who is the hottest and can go the longest without sex? And
Mm.
and I'm onto your shit, Hollywood. I don't know what message you guys are trying to spread, but like, I know it's extra. Okay, so Lenny Kravitz gets extra credit because he could fuck everybody, but he won't. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of fucking incels on message boards ready to write manifestos to shoot up schools that haven't had sex in 7 years, Lenny. It's not that impressive.
Yeah, and it's also like that's a shame, Lenny. Like I'm
Yeah,
not like I don't want to get graphic
like,
or anything, but you should be fucking
what a
like
waste of dick. What are you
fulfill.
guys doing?
Do you know how many dreams you can fulfill by fucking them, Lenny? Do it. Do it for the culture.
Right. You're supposed to be celebrities, not celibate. Like,
Yeah.
what are you guys doing? I don't like this. And it's
It's
starting to
insane.
piss me off. But yeah, I did
Oscars,
find
I
that
just
this
don't think are going to be very popular. I don't think many people are going to care. I think I think it is what it is. It's a solid movie year, but for me, I
yeah.
just kind of like and Amelia
Well, it's
Perez. I don't want to
funny though. It's
get on
funny
that.
though, because this is the year that so many critics claim to have won, I think.
Yes, it
I think a
is.
lot of
Mm,
years critics get mad almost
yeah,
at like the big blockbuster thing. Like, why the fuck, Eric? So y'all will see, you see all the reviews. The reviews sound like motherfuckers rooting for stock market rather than just if a movie was good, where it's like,
Agreed.
oh, y'all saw Black Panther, but look at that budget and stuff. Did y'all see this other small movie that no one heard of? And so now I feel like this is the year where like the small movie that not everyone heard of got to take center stage.
Yeah.
And
And
I don't think I've ever seen people on social media so fucking mad at they're like, what the fuck? Who heard of this shit? I'm like, well, these are the movies.
yeah,
When the other people don't put out those movies, these are the movies.
yeah, these are
yeah.
the
Now I
movies.
will say the thing with Amelia Perez. Here's the
Yeah.
curious thing about that because it's the 13 nominations. Netflix actually has a shot at Best Picture with this one.
Mhm.
I've yet to, and I haven't heard your takes on it, but in
Mhm.
film circles, in my writers groups, in comics, and just general people that have seen this movie,
Yeah,
I've yet to meet one person who's like, I fucking love that movie.
I
Like I've
know.
not met anyone. Like I just saw a quote from James Cameron who said it's like a bold thing, and
Yeah,
I'm like that's so confusing, especially with Hispanic people that watch this movie. They hate it because they're like
yeah.
they did a bunch of weird cultural blending. It doesn't
Mhm.
really make sense. It's very confusing. Tati hated the themes in it. She's like, I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be sympathetic for this person that has because folks, if you don't know, it's about a drug cartel leader who transitions into a woman and goes into hiding and basically starts doing like foundations and charity stuff to circumvent the crimes of cartel, like drugs and cartels and stuff like that. And Tati hated that. And to the point that's being made in the chat, the reason why it's so confusing is the director's French, not Mexican. Half the cast is Mexican, so they're Spanish speaking people, but they're all like trying to do different things to present as Mexican. It's very it's all over the place. And I've yet to meet anyone that loves this movie, and so the fact that it's like the front runner, it's just
I haven't seen it.
It's confusing. It's really weird. The songs are terrible. I'm sorry.
There's songs in it.
The songs and the singing is really bad. Is
it a musical or it's
a musical? Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's the thing too, is a lot of people don't know that. Hollywood's got to stop doing that. They got to stop honey dicking people into not know that these are musicals.
If it's a musical, let people know it's a musical, because everybody don't like musicals, and when they come in, they bust out in song. They're like, "Bitch, what is
no
this?"
surprise musicals?
Right? Tell me in the previews they fucking singing, so I understand that they're singing. Because the thing about Wicked, when Wicked first got promoted, I didn't know that it was like, I knew it was a musical, but I didn't know they was gonna be like singing the whole time.
Well, that's more your fault than theirs, though.
That is true. That is,
because that's based off of something that was a musical. So that's just you didn't. It was in the trailer. That's not even close to the same example. But although I will say, Wicked does a different type of honey dick, which is not let you know it's a part one. Which I don't like that shit either.
Yo, I low key knew about that years ago. Like when I first got to Universal, our office was on the same floor as like marketing and shit like that.
Yeah.
I can't get sued for this. This already happened. People already know. But there was a dude who had the corner office, and he had a big whiteboard. That's how I knew that Twisters was getting a sequel or reboot or whatever the fuck as soon as I got there. And I saw Wicked Part 1 and Wicked Part 2. I was like, they're splitting this into two. And and
I don't have a problem with something being two parts. I have a problem with you lying to me.
Mission Impossible did that, though.
Yeah. It was another one that did it recently. Oh, It. When they rebooted It. There's no, because like I'm in the movie, it's getting close to the end of the movie, which is already fucking 3 hours, and I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck are they gonna wrap all this up? There's not enough time. And you get to the end and they're like, It Part 1, and you're like, bitch, you didn't put that in the title.
Wait, but that's so interesting. So you didn't know about it is a story. You never saw the miniseries or anything like that?
No.
Okay. I feel like I guess I just assumed, because I knew the Stephen King book and like had seen the series, that people just knew that there's going to be an adult story.
That's the thing, though, Brandon. They could have just put Part 1.
I know, but sometimes it turns people off because they know that it's going to require more work of them. If Americans know,
so all you're doing right now is just you're just actually confirming the malfeasance for me. You're like, they did know, Rod, and they just didn't want to tell you because they wanted to trick you into watching the movie. You guys know what I've never seen? It Part 2. And you know what I'll never see? It Part 2. Because fuck you guys. It's just that simple. You know what Mission Impossible did? They said Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yes, when they promoted it,
they said Dead Reckoning Part 1. It bombed. I don't care if it bombed. It was a good movie. Yes. And you know what I will be seeing? Final Reckoning
Part 2.
I'll be seeing Final Reckoning because Tom Cruise would never lie to me.
He would not,
as an audience member like that. He don't play them games. He know how movies work.
So, Rod, you're telling me you're not going to see Beyond the Spider-Verse because it ended on a cliffhanger you didn't know?
I probably won't. No. I'm
Come
done
on,
now.
don't do this. Don't say that. Don't say that.
No.
Don't.
But that's different. A sequel is different than a part 1. It wasn't like if it said Beyond the Spider-Verse Part 2 or something like that, that's when I'm like, fuck you. Like I do understand how sequels work.
Right.
Okay, I saw Terminator 2. I understand that you can make more than one movie in franchise. I just think you shouldn't honey dick people with, hey man, here's a complete movie in the trailer, the thoughts, the promotion, everything, and then here's the last frame. Actually, guys, we didn't finish the story. You're gonna have to come back and get 2-3 more hours of this. Hey man, I would have liked to know that going in. That's all. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Okay, it's fine. That's a history. Anyway, don't trick me is what I'm saying. But yeah, I have not been that invested in this Oscars for some reason. I got all these fucking screeners and shit, but I didn't get the right screeners in the right order apparently, because I watched a bunch of fucking indie movies this year and I somehow missed almost every Oscar nominated indie movie. I just been watching like Love Lies Bleeding and shit, like weird Tuesday and shit like this, where I'm just like watching these like really indie, because I had no idea what was the front runners or not, and then the Oscars came out, and I was like, how is it possible I watch more movies than pretty much anyone I know that's not a professional critic? And I don't think I've watched a fucking Oscar nominated movie yet. I gotta go back into my stack and just go find the Oscar ones and watch those over the next few weeks, so I can at least be informed, because I don't like being uninformed with these things.
Yeah, and also the thing is, y'all brought up a good point when y'all saying this is the Oscars that the critics want. But you know what's going to happen too? The ratings are going to be down. Y'all, it wouldn't be surprising if these are some of the lowest rated movies ever. Then they're going to complain about why is the people.
No, but why didn't no one watch the Oscars?
Yes, last year they had 2 Best Picture noms that like Barbie got over $1 billion, and then Oppenheimer almost got $1 billion. So,
and I think this year also, I think they're not going to have the musical performances at the Oscars. So it's strictly
they might have Wicked perform though.
Okay,
they might have Ariana and Cynthia perform.
So for the most part, it's gonna be this is about the movies, and not the scores of the movies, and the celebrities are there, which sounds nice, but also you're making a TV show.
You're making a TV show.
So like part of the thing people like about the TV show, even with it being long and everyone complaining, is just all this other bullshit that isn't really about giving people awards. So I do wonder how the ratings will look, Karen. That's a good point. All right, let's talk about some other news, guys. So we got the Oscars out the way. What the fuck is happening politically? I guess Jewel performed for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And her fans feel betrayed by Jewel.
She ain't had a hit since 1999. What are we complaining about? Complain about her not releasing new music.
She white women's Chrisette Michele. You weren't meant for me. You weren't meant for me. Singer posted an Instagram video Friday addressing fans disappointed. I'm so sorry that I caused pain, especially for my LGBTQIA plus community, because you guys are treasures. You make the world a better place. You made my life a better place, and I will not stop fighting. None of us can afford to stop fighting. I really believe that the only way we can change is in relationship. It isn't in isolation or by isolating. It's by being in a relationship, by reaching out, by having hard conversations. She said it pains her to hear that some of her fans feel betrayed. I really hope that we can push through our hurt and move toward understanding on both sides. I'm sorry that some of my longtime fans feel that I let them down.
Oh, that check must be nice.
She performed Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which is isn't that like a huge gay anthem too? The Somewhere Over the Rainbow for Kennedy and his wife, Cheryl Hines, who never left him even though he cheated on her. Kennedy, the prominent vaccine skeptic, black sheep scion of a famous political family and former presidential candidate, was recently nominated by Donald Trump to run the Department of Health and Human Services. Her statement wasn't exactly a mea culpa. She spent most of the video defending her decision to perform for the controversial politician. I'm a mental health advocate, she said. If there's anything that I've learned in the past 20 years, that mental health affects everybody's lives across party lines. I reached out to the last administration, spoke with the Surgeon General about the mental health crisis that's facing our nation. I don't know if you guys know the stats, but it's bleak. One in 4 kids are considering unaliving themselves, and it's not much better for adults. I believe I can help. I believe I have to try. And if I wait to try until I agree 100% with the people that might be willing to help me, I'd rather never get off the bench. Don't think that's how activism works. Waiting until everything's perfect enough to participate. It is actually because things are so imperfect, we have to find ways to engage and participate.
That statement made no sense.
What did she say? Yeah, boy, that just sounded like goobly gut. Listen, she needed a check because no one is banging down Jewel's door to perform. Like her biggest hit was "My Hands." Like that's such a sad ass song. No one wants to hear that live and a cappella. Also, RFK Jr. needs mental health support more than anybody. So she doing the wrong thing. Like unless the money's for him to get the help he needs. This nigga unprovoked talking to Roseanne. You know how crazy you have to be to make Roseanne's eyes raise? He just randomly was like, "Oh, you know that bear in Central Park that they found the head? I did that." What?
I also think it's funny when people use the fact that Biden did not want to have them like part of like his entertainment or part of his like political outreach. I love when they act like we're supposed to be at home. Like, yeah, So Biden didn't want Soldier Boy performing at his inauguration. Well, of course he had to go perform for Trump. Like, why wouldn't he? I mean, it's an insult. Biden would not let Soldier Boy do it. And that's what Jules doing in a different way of like, listen, I've reached out to the last administration and they didn't want me to perform. So I have to go do this work for RFK Jr. We need these tough conversations. Hey, I got a question for you, Joel. Did you have a tough conversation with him, or did you just get a check and go home after you sang your song? Because I got a feeling that it was the latter and not the former. I don't think you talked to this man about tough stuff about mental health or challenge any single view in that 5 minutes you were at that party.
Unless she was like, yo, listen, Wells Fargo is coming after me about this behind mortgage. I need this check today to cash.
Like, right. That's the tough conversation she had was, can I
like,
get
direct deposit or
can y'all Venmo or Cash App me? Because we need a tough conversation about my mental health because these niggas is on my ass with these bills.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna catch my heads.
Right.
So stupid. Yeah.
Said,
I don't think people understand how transactional the next 4 years and maybe beyond are going to be. Like, I think people who are butthurt about Snoop and Rick Ross and stuff like that, I'm like, these dudes have often said, like, I'll do anything for money, right? They're like Samuel Jackson of music performances. They'll perform for anybody. So I'm like, y'all need to get used to this. Like, everyone, no rapper like Nelly is going to be honest with the people and say, hey, y'all, it's tough out here. Like, I ain't got another country grandma in me. I need to do as many performances as I can because Ashanti's fine ass is to be taken care of, right?
Soldier Boy will be honest. He's the only one who's been honest so far.
Shout out to him.
I don't respect him.
In Atlanta when he was like, "You ain't got a what did he say? Not a safe house." It was like
yeah. Oh yeah, y'all forget what it's called. But yeah, the house out in the country. Yeah. But yeah, the point being, like, yeah, at least he's the only one so far that was just honest. Like, nigga, y'all aren't putting ringtones on your phones anymore. What the fuck? Like, I got 6 figures to go stand in front of Trump. I don't actually
make so much money off that. I forgot about that, right? They used to make mad money off those ringtones.
Yeah, he was like our first like huge ringtone rapper that blew up. But yeah, like I get it. But I hate this pivot to like, guys, it's about my activism and mental health. Ma'am, you're not trying. That man has a worm in his brain. You're not talking about mental health. You're there to get a check, and then you're trying to make us into it because that's the problem. It's the greed of the celebrity. You want to still be liked, so you want to go get that check, and then you want to hop on Instagram and try to like gaslight the rest of us into being like, oh, we were wrong to judge Jewel for doing that. No, just go. You don't get to have it all. You can go dance for him, but when you dance for him, just understand some people not gonna fuck with you no more because what you won't see is when they pass this legislation, and this is for all these fucking celebrities. When they start passing this legislation, when they start writing these EOs, when they start rounding people up, you won't see Snoop Dogg, you won't see Rick Ross, you won't see Nelly, you won't see Soulja Boy, you won't see Waka Flocka, you won't see Jewel, you won't see Carrie Underwood. None of these people will be anywhere advocating for these groups of people who are actually going to get oppressed. Right. The stuff that they're going to be doing to trans people and LGBTQ people is going to happen. It's going to be real. These policies are passing. All these anti-DEI policies also include those marginalized groups, and you will not see Jewel hopping on her Instagram live to decry this administration. So fuck you, bitch. You're not tricking me. You can't just pull this like, guys, I just thought we'd have a conversation. Well, the time for the conversation is going to be every single day that we look up and we see like, oh, they just stopped the kids from having gender affirming surgery or something, or they just stopped gender affirming surgery all the way for adults or whatever. We're going to see that kind of shit. Oh, they just made a bathroom bill in this country. And you will not see Joel speaking out about that shit because she's compromised at this point. And she know the comments going to be like, motherfucker, you was dancing for him. Yep. So nah, fuck that. You can't trick me. Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio wants retaliation now that he's free.
Of course he does.
Trump freed the Proud Boys, and he's like, you know what? I want revenge. So that happened. Everybody that thought that Trump wasn't gonna really free them Proud Boys, or it's just so interesting because Trump had nothing to do with them running up on the Capitol. He had nothing to do with this movement. If anything, he's so unrelated to it that it didn't even make sense to try to prosecute him for it. That's just how he didn't know it was gonna happen any more than us. These are not his people. Wait, day one, I'm free the homies. Interesting. Okay.
That's the reason why I get real nervous about what the future holds, because one, these people are emboldened. Obviously, they're like his private army. They feel like they can do whatever the fuck, and he'll probably protect them. But two, again, Trump has done something to the society where it's okay to never admit that you're wrong, that you don't
Right.
know something. If y'all saw his rant when he was with Karen Bass last night, talking about how water works and trees and shit, like he doesn't know anything about anything. Yet he'll keep just word vomit until you just say, "Okay, buddy, just get the fuck out of my way, right? Get it out of
Yeah.
my face."
He's the
And
ultimate example of what I talked about earlier about he's our most social media president, meaning that he doesn't need context. There's literally no before and there's no after with him. It is only the present and what he needs to say in that moment, period. He's only thinking this far ahead. And there are people in this country who saw that and voted for that, or who see that and go, that's him keeping it real. That's what it's about. As if the idea of having knowledge of the past or actual expertise is like not real. Like it's like that. Kamala Harris is not keeping it real when she relates the fires in LA to that black community that lost everything, and how that affects the historical wealth and their future progeny. It's like, no, bitch, that's woke DEI. Donald Trump came and said, what's a fire? So they be having fires out here, and they're like, see, he's keeping it real. That's what we need.
I'm so over the fucking DEI stuff, because DEI just means not all white.
Yep. Exactly.
You know,
and
it's always a meritocracy when you see a boardroom full of all white men.
Yep, and it's not bringing the price of eggs down. So
no, they're actually gonna be going.
I don't know what.
Yeah,
that's not all in the news.
Everything gonna be going up because out there in California, niggas ain't showing up to work. They was like, yeah, only 2 of the 48. They was like, yeah, they got these vans out here and ain't nobody showing up to work. So the price of your oranges, the price of your limes, like shit that got to be physically picked, it's getting ready to go up, because you know what that shit gonna do is gonna sit there and it is going to spoil. You know, they've been talking to people and they was like, yeah, you got these places out here. They was like, yeah, we normally run 24 hours. You ain't gonna be able to run 24 hours. People ain't showing up.
And you know what's scary about that, right? To go to Rod's comment about also like incompetence and like just people who are in this power, like who don't know anything. What the fuck are they going to propose as a solution to that? You know what I mean? Like that's what I worry about. It's like, okay, we have these fields that are unmanned because all the immigrants left, right? Okay, who all is on like government assistance and all that stuff? Do they have working hands and legs? Okay, they're in the field. Like I'm not saying like it's going to get to that, but it could, because we have the gross incompetence at the highest level, and they're not going to think rationally if like they start getting bad press or Trump starts getting angry because people are hating him because the economy is in the
The other thing is like Trump and the people that are making these decisions can afford the price of eggs no matter what the fucking price is.
100%.
So they ain't really worried about that. So if the rest of us are paying $20 for eggs, they will never give a fuck about us. They'll let the economy experience a Great Depression. It won't be their Great Depression. It'll be our Great Depression.
Right.
They'll be fine. The transfer of wealth to that highest percentage has happened. And so they will continue to exacerbate that. You know, I try not to delve too much into the conspiratorial because, you know, I feel like we're going to find out what the plans are as they happen. But, you know, so I think someone, I can't remember if it was yesterday or where I heard it, but I know someone was bringing up like, if you start holding people who are immigrants and then you force them to do labor in the way that we do with our prisons already, that could be a source of labor for, it's Karen Hunter's show. That's it. Friday. Yeah, that could be a source of labor for these people so that they don't have to pay people, and yet they still continue to, you know, make these products for extremely cheap prices and stuff. So yeah, all I know is America was founded on slavery, and it will always need some form of like very cheap labor, if not free labor, in order to exist. And a lot of that work has been because of immigrants in America, where it's like the unseen, undocumented work that happens because white people don't want to do that shit, and American citizens don't want to do that shit unless they get paid American citizen rates. And so that's the dirty little secret of America. And all Trump is doing is exposing it with his xenophobia, because it's like, we're gonna kick these people out. Well, people are gonna still want corn. So I don't know what the fuck to tell you, bro, but someone gonna have to go pick that corn, or everyone's gonna go crazy looking in the fucking corn now,
Yep.
and corn's $57 an ear, and they're gonna be like, what the fuck happened? And so yeah, this stuff is coming. Also the Secret Service ran up in a school, supposedly in Chicago. They claimed they were U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So they lied to the school and said they were ICE, but they were actually Secret Service. And schools and churches used to be off limits for ICE raids, but now under Trump, they've decided that it is not off limits. Now, what is interesting to me is this sounds like maybe even ICE is like, bro, we're not doing that. That's crazy. And then Trump's like, well, Secret Service has to do it. I say they'll do it, and they'll say they're you. Because why the fuck else would that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would Secret Service be lying and saying they're ICE? They didn't just run up in there and say I'm Secret Service. Like the fact, like I wonder, because it does take a while for these policies to take effect, and just because you wrote an executive order doesn't really, like, that's another thing that's working on online. All these people are like, he passed the executive order, guys, but honestly, it really only works in a lot of cases through the bureaucracy. Meaning you can write whatever the fuck you, just like he banned trans people in the military via a tweet. There's a process for that. You can do it. It's just not gonna happen because you tweeted it at 3 a.m. on the toilet.
Yeah, he's like Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy. It's like
exactly
that's not how law works.
Exactly.
So executive orders could be overturned too in 4 years from now. You know what I mean?
Right. So I think a lot of this stuff is optics wise to make it look like that, like the sign, like they're sending social signals out to the rest of us to be like, immigrants are persona non grata. If you're around immigrants, if you're in a community with immigrants, they need to be concerned about us coming for them wherever they are, and they need to be trying to get the fuck out. And that is the whole point, to make them fearful. But I think it says something that the Secret Service was pretending to be ICE, identified themselves as ICE at a Chicago public school. And of course, they're attacking these liberal, quote unquote, democratic strongholds. It's like, I was under the impression that y'all whole thing was the immigrants are coming into the border of Texas, and Greg Abbott and them need some help, and we need to get these immigrants out of here. You're just coming to, let me check this list again, Newark, New Jersey, and Chicago. That's interesting, because those are not Texas.
They're nowhere near the border.
Like, this is not about what they say it's about.
Agreed.
I think this is all detraction for what's really coming, and I think New York is going to be the first asylum city that buckles under Trump because of Eric Adams' relationship.
Of course.
I think it's going to be a disheartening few months in New York, because I think that Eric Adams is going to be very okay with letting ICE into schools. He'll probably do a stupid ass press conference beforehand and be like, hey, if you ain't got the papers, it might be a dark day for you in Gotham. And then, shit. I think it's just going to get really wild, because once they said the thing about schools and churches, I was like, okay, they're going to go into mosques, they're going to go into schools, they're going to use kids as collateral, because it could be like, okay, these are U.S. kids, but like, if you want to get your kid, you got to come to school to pick them up.
In the Newark raid, they got people that were American citizens.
Yeah, they don't care. I don't know why people don't care.
And then the plane they sent down there that cost all this fucking money to send down there, Mexico's like, no,
they don't want it.
Yeah, like we don't know them people.
Yeah, you send a bunch of people here that don't belong here. These are your citizens.
Meanwhile, but like I said, bureaucracy. We actually do have an immigration policy and agency, ICE, which does operate under some rules and jurisdictions. When ICE sends a plane down to Mexico everyone's been verified and everything is above board,
right?
It costs about $8,000. These motherfuckers spent $880,000 for a plane that got turned around, because it's always been about fucking optics. They're not, and all this run the government like a business bullshit. This is a wasteful expenditure of money.
Yes, it is.
And it's just, and there's not gonna be anyone to hold them accountable. There's no accountability coming, because at the end of the fucking day, these motherfuckers got the power. And so this, the people that were supposed to hold this in check were the American voters, and they decided not to do that job.
Agreed. Agreed. And I think that's where a lot of my frustration and a lot of my anger and where I get, upset with people and why I don't want to argue with the far left liberal who keep coming to me with excuses. But if we should have, I don't like I don't want to hear any excuses at the end of the day, and I will continue to say this. The populace is at fault here. Your brother, your sister, your mama, your cousin, and them, everybody was fucking around online. Those are the people that are held accountable.
And I think, like for me, like I'm like I've always wanted to like be a well-rounded person, so I always surround myself with people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, all this stuff, right? And I think for me now that's like a curse because I talk to these people where I'm like, I talk to some Puerto Ricans who voted for Trump, and then I'm like, okay, you're in New York City and you know what he's about to do, right?
Right.
Your mom can't speak English. Yes, she's a U.S. citizen, but she can't speak English. If she can't communicate to these people and she doesn't know that they're asking for ID, guess what? She's going to be in Holden or whatever the fuck they choose to put her in until you can figure out a way to get her out. And you have no connections. You fucking, you clean up office space. Like, what are you going to do?
Right.
Like, I'm just like, you're setting yourself up for failure. And that's what's so crazy about just Americans in general. I think we never we never do the easy stuff that sets us up for success. We just try to circumvent any kind of hard work or focus just to get like the immediate satisfaction of something. And that lack of, and that's where Tati and I, like my wife, we were like just after the election, we're like, we care so much. We have so much empathy, but it's killing us. It's like physically making us sick. It's like, I can't keep caring about you if you don't care about yourself. And I'm barely caring about myself. So now I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be like selfish and be like, it's all about Brandon and what I got to do. Right. I'm like, no, I'm going to do what I think I can contribute to the community, which is this show and donating proceeds to the, charities that are going towards, helping with the wildfires and activism stuff. That's what I can do for my peace of mind. That won't make me go crazy.
Part of what's funny is
stuff.
Last year was, under Biden and all that stuff. But like part of the reason I started really going to the gym and stuff was part of that was just like, well, this is a thing I can control. And this is a thing that benefits me and my health and my loved ones. And
also get ready, Rod. Let's be.
Well, honestly, it's not even about getting ready like that. Cause I think, if it comes down to it and we gotta really fight for our lives, the liberal side is losing. So I'd rather let's just get that over early with, because y'all some pussies. Let's just be real. That's okay. True. We are not this, like, I always find that funny when people are like, well, now that we got Trump, we can finally organize the revolution. I'm like, they got the guns. What y'all gonna do? Y'all are anti-gun. Right. I've seen y'all's raps.
Even the people that are amped up. I know, like Tati, my wife, she's a short Puerto Rican woman that walks around with "I wish a nigga would" energy. Yeah. But when she's tried to like legit try to fight me, like in a playful way, she hurts herself. I'm like, it's all talk with you. You're not gonna attribute.
Like our side is just like, that's the problem with online not being real, is that our side gets these like they act like it's the Hunger Games and like, we're gonna have like one single like unifying figure come and organize the revolution. I'm like, no, that's not what's gonna happen. Is you're gonna be scared and you're gonna be tweeting, I'm literally shaking, and making TikToks crying and shit, because that's who we are. But if we would accept that is who we are, we do things like vote so that we don't have to be worried about that part. Right. I'd rather you be literally shaking under Kamala Harris than literally shaking under Trump, who's about to round some motherfuckers up. Walgreens CEO said that this is gonna shock y'all, so I hope y'all sitting down. Okay, if you're driving, pull over. He said that locking all the fucking products up may have led to short sales, and that their sales numbers have gone down now that they've locked every fucking thing that especially black people buy behind some sort of glass partition, and they employ one person and 13 self-checkout aisles. So it's kind of hard to get a person to even unlock the deodorant for you.
And so 10 minutes for them to
and I don't have 20 minutes to wait, so I'll just go to another place where I don't have to do that. And apparently, Karen, and apparently not a good sales strategy.
Yeah, it's been places I've been to, and the shit I had locked up, I buy everything else on the, but I guess I go somewhere else. I'm not, and the thing is, like you saying, it's time consuming for you. It's time consuming for the employees. Employees don't want to do the shit. You got to ring a buzzer. Depend on how it's set up. It may or may not have a buzzer. You have to hunt somebody down in the big ass box store. So it's like, hey, dog, I don't have 35 minutes to wait on you. You don't have an employee standing here. And they don't want to do the bullshit. That's the thing. They don't want to do the bullshit. Like, and you causing, not trying to funny. And I know this might sound weird, but you call unnecessary friction between the customer, because the customer's already pissed the shit's locked up, and the employee who don't want to do the shit anyway.
All right. Let's get into something actually fun, guys.
And not your fun. And I hope you
never mind, Karen. Go ahead, get you off,
until you unlock the shit. Free the products. Sorry.
Free the products.
Yeah, free them.
Free the products.
Karen. All right, let's get into something that's actually fun to play. Okay, we've been nice. We've been virtual signaling. We've been showing how good of people we are. But now it's time to show the world how bad we are. Let's play some Guess the Race.
Yeah, how bad we are.
It's time to guess the race. It's time to guess the race. It's time to guess the race. It's time to guess the race.
All right, guess the race. We go around the globe, find different articles, guess the race of the people involved. Karen's gonna be playing, Brandon's gonna be playing, chat room's gonna be playing, and we'll see who wins. The first story. After pulling over a motorist whose vehicle almost struck the curb multiple times early Thursday morning, a Florida cop walked up to the driver's side door and immediately detected the presence of alcohol.
Oh, you don't say.
When the officer asked Ronnie White, 53, if everything was okay, White's female passenger jumped in to offer an explanation for her companion's erratic 1 a.m. operation of his 2014 Ford pickup truck. Diane Dash, 48, apologized to police, claiming that the close curb encounters may have been my fault. She explained, "It's my birthday, and I was rubbing all over him trying to get him excited."
Oh, no.
Dash said the duo was returning from a restaurant in Stewart where they celebrated her December 26th birthday. White was asked by a St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office deputy if, other than her rubbing all over you, is everything else okay with you? He replied yes and reportedly agreed to a series of field sobriety tests. He performed poorly on those tests, and the deputy felt he was impaired and unable to operate a vehicle safely. He declined to take the breath test. He was arrested for driving under the influence and booked in the county jail. He was free from custody after posting $500 bond on misdemeanor count. He's scheduled for arraignment February 20th. Guess the race of Mr. Ronnie White.
White.
Karen's going white. Brandon?
Buddy Garrity White.
Let's check the chat room, see what's going on. Shout out to Buddy Garrity. That was one of the all-time characters on TV.
Yeah, man. Friday Night Lights. Oh, Friday Night Lights rewatch. New podcast I did with the homie Chris Allen. Check that out on your podcast application.
Oh, I love that show, man. One of the GOATs.
That was your jam, wasn't it?
It was. I even made it through the murder mystery season. But I was like, I don't know what the fuck y'all did with who's cocaine.
It wasn't a mystery, but that was a weird Landry and stuff. That's when Justin Clemens got a taste for blood on screen.
Yeah, let's just make. Yeah, right. That was his first hit.
Yeah,
it was like, what if we just make randomly these high school kids and like cover up a murder? Like, I don't think that's a smart thing. Anyway,
I actually wanted to be his character from Civil War for Halloween. Tati was like, "That's too much."
Kind of Americans are
with the red glasses and shit.
Yeah,
that's too much to me.
What kind of Americans? Like, oh God,
yep.
He was good though.
Oh, so scary.
So scary, dog. So scary. White. OnlyFans, white. Hot blowjob, white says cock, white. Road redneck, white. Black, says Carrie. This sounds mighty white. The correct answer is Karen and Brandon said the same thing. They got it right. He's white.
Bow, bow. Yeah.
And one person did miss it, so let me play the booze.
He looks like that white guy from Challengers if he just let himself go, like he just like ended it all.
Oh no, he looks like a curly Larry and Moe.
Ah,
yeah.
You know the dudes with that haircut. That's what it's. Yeah. No, I'm ancient, y'all. I'm so sorry. I'm old.
He look like all of them together.
Yes.
And one.
I'm like 50, 60 years old in the heart.
Well, if they did the Three Stooges thing they do with AI, where they combine like your picture and another person's picture and go, "This be your baby." I feel like that's what it looked like if the Three Stooges was one person.
Yes, I love that damn show.
It looked like if Nick Nolte and then that one golfer John Daly, if they was smushed together in a person. Rough life for that guy though. And sadly, he was about to get some that night.
He could have made it home.
What if that's the reason they didn't believe? Is that they looked at him and they was like, "Ma'am, you want us to
ain't
believe?"
getting pussy,
right? Ma'am, he was gonna dick you.
You was gonna rob this gentleman. Tell us the truth,
right? You wanted him
Come
to
on,
dick
man.
you wanted him to dick you down for your birthday, ma'am? Yeah. Is that I believe he was drunk. Let's just get him out. Let's get him out.
Like, come on, man. I've been celibate for 7 years. Like Lenny Kravitz. I need to bust his nut.
Right. me, Red Man, Lenny Kravitz. Florida siblings Kathleen and Maureen Deegan were arrested Thursday for allegedly battering each other at a Catholic church where their 95-year-old father's funeral had just been held.
Oh, damn. At the service?
At the service. Oh. The sibling fight, cops say, was prompted by the eulogy delivered by Kathleen, 66, at the services for Dr. Arthur Deegan, a former management consultant who in retirement authored several devotional Bible study books. Wow. Yeah. So their dad authored devotional Bible study books and they was at his funeral fighting.
We don't care about no devotions.
Court records do not indicate whether the melee at St. Brendan's Catholic Church occurred inside the Clearwater Beach Chapel or at the reception that followed. According to the arrest affidavit, Kathleen's eulogy did not include a mention of her sister Maureen's 24-year-old daughter, which upset the younger woman and triggered a verbal argument between Kathleen and her niece. Investigators charged that Maureen walked over to Kathleen and purposely chest bumped her. Kathleen then grabbed her sister's hair and pulled it backwards. Then Maureen responded by throwing strikes at Kathleen's face, though it was unclear if it was open or closed hand. The altercation was also captured on CCTV.
Oh shit!
It was then broken up. The mutual combat resulted in Kathleen's arrest for misdemeanor battery. Maureen was charged with felony battery since her alleged victim was 65 years of age or older. So one of them is a little older than the other, but they both old. But because you 66 and I'm 64, I got a felony.
I got elderly abuse.
Wow, that I have never seen that before, but that is really interesting.
They should be charging each other with it then.
Right. Their sister. Well, no, one's below. Like technically.
Technically.
I'm not elderly. Your ass is elderly. Get you with your elderly ass. It's like, well, that's what just got you a felony then, bitch. How about that? Enjoy prison. Held overnight.
That's why you 2 years off of AARP.
Held overnight in the county jail. The Deegans were released from custody yesterday on their own recognizance. A judge has ordered the women to have no contact with each other. They live about 7 miles away from each other.
Okay.
So yeah, that's they fought at the funeral. Karen?
White.
Okay.
Yeah, white.
Brandon?
Yeah, I'm going Ronda Rousey. White. When I heard the chest bump, I'm like, that's only a white thing to just start a confrontation with a chest bump. Yeah, that's some white people shit.
I kind of want to know why she left her niece out of the eulogy too, because that's definitely a shot. It definitely has history because the other person was waiting to fight them upon leaving the niece out, meaning that they knew that the niece would be left out.
They had a discussion prior to, and they was like, "You better not leave him out."
Right?
And she was like, "Bitch, you."
She was taking her earrings out as the eulogy was wrapping up. It's like, she didn't say your name, girl. Hold me back.
I thought funerals were supposed to be a time when, like, even like if you had beef with people and stuff, you're not supposed to bring that shit up during eulogies. Between Succession and that Tyler Perry movie, I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, listen, eulogies is where the hands get thrown these days. Okay,
it's so people get ugly.
Yeah, I've never seen it in person. I hope I never do.
But I've heard about them though.
But both of y'all went white, so let's check the chat room, see what they believe. The power of Christ compels them white. Catholic guilt got them wild and white. Old school glow wrestling moves white. White chest bumping and pulling hair at a funeral white. Jerry Springer white. Catholic, that's some country white. Not Baptist or AME white. Logan and Jake Paul white. Oh my God. The correct answer is white. You guys all got it right. Congratulations.
One of them got the I want to see your manager haircut.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
This kind of fits what I had in my mind. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Swoop happening there.
Yeah. They look like if Marge Simpson's sisters was real, you know.
Right? That's hilarious.
Selma.
Yeah, that website was selling a lot of crosses.
Yeah, well, listen, can't all get our news. This is the kind of news you don't get from reputable sources. Okay, I got to go into the dark web to get these fucking articles. All right, let's go to the bonus round where both of you guys are 2 for 2. So here we go.
How can I be racist about anybody or anything in my life? How can I?
Call them niggas. Just call them niggas.
It's time to get
Gold,
raised.
gold chain, fried chicken, biscuit eating, monkey eat, baboon, big guy, fast running, high jumping, spear chucking, 360-degree basketball.
A dispute over cold French fries at a Wendy's in Kentucky erupted into an exchange of gunfire between a male patron and a female restaurant employee who was shot in the buttocks.
Oh, no.
Cops say Manja James Wooten, 25, and 2 associates this month engaged in verbal altercation at the drive-thru window with Twanesha Coleman, a 26-year-old Wendy's worker, over cold fries. Oh, I do hate cold fries, though.
Yeah.
You know what I always say? Cold fries, hot lead. Okay.
That's a wild mile live by, Rod.
So I always
Everybody I remember your friend and you told me that at a diner. I'd be like, nigga, you okay?
Right.
I gotta call Karen. What are you talking? What did you
What
say?
is happening?
There's one thing people know about me. Cold fries, hot lead, okay? Don't play that over here. James Wooten and his co-defendant subsequently entered the Louisville eatery where he allegedly produced a firearm and fired a shot.
Damn.
Coleman, whose motto apparently is stay ready, you want to get ready, returned fire.
Oh, shit.
And then the defendant
shooting. I'm ready.
Then the defendant began firing multiple rounds, one of which struck the victim in the buttocks. A day after the incident, a second woman contacted police and reported that she had been shot. The woman reportedly admitted that she had been with James Wooten at Wendy's when he shot her. So he shot the employee and he shot his friend. He was shooting everybody. Charged with felony assault, James Wooten turned himself into police Friday. He's being held by the police department, Louisville Metro. Coleman, the Wendy's worker, is facing serious problems of her own. At the time of the January 6th shooting, Coleman, who was on probation in connection with a conviction of felony theft and gun charges, was legally barred from possessing a gun. Well, shout out first.
Life is so wild, man. Just
shout out.
Wake up in a day and this is what happens.
First of all, shout out to Wendy's for banning the box. Okay, Wendy's is like, listen, we'll hire somebody that's a felon. Okay, we know you out. Look, you trying to work through your probation because you've been convicted of felony theft and gun charges. So look, was Wendy's a perfect place for you to start over? And we noticed you happen to have a gun. That's fine with us. We're not
Listen,
snitching.
cuz we know you need a second chance, cuz, and you gonna get it here at the Wendy's, cuz. But listen, if you stay ready, you don't have to. That anyone who lives by that motto, like, it's hilarious because at least one time in their life they're gonna be right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what's scary.
At least
like,
one time.
I'm assuming they was Bloods up in there.
Something was happening.
It was like, let me get a big Baconator with extra bees on it, and then it was like, what you say? This is we cripping in this Wendy's,
and then all hell breaks loose.
Pow. Seen at the left, Coleman pleaded guilty in 2022 for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. As a result of the Wendy's incident, Coleman is again been charged with being in a felon in possession of a firearm, a felony in which she is scheduled to be arraigned February 4th. It's unclear if Coleman will also face a probation violation. Let me clear it up. Yes. Also, the picture in the mugshot, she is in her Wendy's polo. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Y'all wouldn't let her change out the Wendy's polo, dog. That's fucked up. You know she just got shot in the ass. Come on now. All right, guess the race.
Of who?
Both. They're both the same race. So guess the race.
Oh, black.
Do you need the names again? I'm sorry. It is. Oh, Karen says she does not need to know.
Go ahead. I mean,
Monja James Wooten. Okay. And Twanesha Coleman. All right. So Karen's going with black. How about you, Brandon?
Diamond and Silk black.
So not black? No, just Wendy's ain't been right since Dave died. That's not a race, but it is true. Stay frosty, stay frosty, but for real, black. That's not stay frosty. That's good, Trey. That's not Wendy's. That's Wendynisha's. These are niggas. Come on now. How many white Twanishas you know? Everybody black. World Star black. This is entirely ghetto Negro shit. Real black. Black, real black. I need my fries hot like this lead. Black and black. The correct answer is black.
Yo, I got a shout out though, Miss Barnes, Wendynisha.
Yeah,
that's the Wendy's version of McDowell's. You know, yes. that's brilliant.
Bullets on the side. Always order your bullets on the side, guys.
Oh, not with your meal.
Yeah, that's
no.
Oh,
why do you look like Kendrick?
He do a little bit. He favor. You know what I mean?
Squabble up. He was ready.
Yep. He was like, yesterday somebody fucked up my Wendy's.
Yo, imagine waking up in the morning with that energy.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like something was happening. He was like one cold fry away from killing somebody. Like, I don't know what else went wrong in his life, but you know that brother was one fry away.
He walked up. He was like, it was like, dun, 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 dun. My fries were cold, ho. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Honey mustard on the fries, ho.
Yes, honey mustard on the fries, ho.
I want honey mustard. Yeah. And then that's Twanisha, who I'm 100% sure this is her Wendy's shirt, right? That's the Wendy's. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
nobody rocks that. No one rocks that look for pleasure,
unless you work at T-Mobile.
Yeah, exactly. That's a work shirt. Is my point. Yeah,
I bet they name tag still on.
Yeah,
you just can't see it. They cropped it out.
No one's ever put that shirt on and went, "I'm gonna kill him tonight." You know what I'm saying? When they see me pulling up in this, okay, the hoes won't know. When they see me smelling like fries. All right, sword ratchetness is the last thing, and we'll wrap it up. Prepare for a very long sound effect though.
Yes,
Brandon. So just
of course, I know what this is.
All right. Yesterday, somebody fucked up my fries. The kind of energy that'll make you pull your 9.
Oh no! Oh God!
Oh, Lord!
Oh shit! All right. I can't believe that dude. He did look like Kendrick.
Yo, and he just was ready. He was like, "Okay, today is the day." It's like with the white on the Office with the pepper spray. Yeah. Like every day everyone's laughing at me, but one day I got to use the pepper spray.
You think he had a GNX when he pulled up in the truck? Oh man. Cops are looking for a man who chopped off most of the fingers of a man's hand with a machete after a sidewalk dispute in the Bronx erupted over their dogs barking at each other.
Child, them the problems y'all got up there, Brandon.
I mean, I'm surprised by the amount of niggas that have samurai swords.
Yeah, and
just
this guy
in New York.
Now this guy had a machete, which still counted as a sword.
A lot too.
Yeah, the machete's a sword. If you ever try to buy a machete from Walmart, you'll see for yourselves, guys. Go in there. This is a sword essentially. It's big as fuck. That's not a knife. You know what I'm saying? According to cops, 34-year-old man was struck in the left hand with a machete by an unidentified man around 11:24 a.m. on Friday near Southern Boulevard and 178. Let me tell you something. Getting your fingers chopped off at 11:24 a.m. that's no way to start the day.
That's a rough morning.
Yeah, that's a rough morning, dog. The attacker and the victim
in the Bronx. Fucking ghost dog up there.
The attacker and victim argued over their dogs barking at each other.
That's what the fuck dogs do.
Right. Then let them fight. What the fuck is the problem? Like,
let them fight.
Why are y'all pulling out swords? Don't we understand how dogs work? That's how dogs say hey.
That is.
You know, but they started arguing. And I'm just imagining both of them holding their dogs that are barking at each other, being like, "Make your dog stop barking, man. Why your dog barking at my dog?" Nah, fuck that. Go on, machete. That's enough of this.
Escalated quickly.
As things escalated, the attacker yanked out a machete intended to attack his rival's dog, but the victim stepped in to protect his dog. The victim was slashed and lost four digits. He was transported to a nearby hospital in stable condition. The assailant took off soon after the incident. He was described as being in his 40s to 50s and last seen wearing a tan bucket hat, a gray hooded sweatshirt, green vest, tan pants, and tan boots. Oh my God, it's Ghostface. Oh my God.
It's going to be Ghost something.
He was carrying a dog too, apparently.
That is wild. Where the fuck did he just had the machete in his...
yeah, he just had it on his person somewhere. Yeah.
Was it in his back? Like, did you have it on your waistline?
He had it in his wallabies, you know.
The wallabies.
I don't know. His Echo. I don't know where he had it. He had that shit on him.
That's shit in the item box.
When some people say they got that shit on, they talking about their outfit. He mean that machete.
Yes.
I got that shit on today, man. Oh my God. Well, anyway, guys, be careful out here when you're walking your dogs because it's
at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, well, 11 in the morning.
Oh, okay, 11 in the morning.
Yeah, be careful. Like even if it's around lunchtime, just be it's
broad daylight. Nigga with a bucket hat, he might have a machete, which is a wild thing to consider. That's when I hear these stories, right? Whenever I do your podcast and you share these stories, I'm like, you just never know. You just never know. You could get in a brief altercation with somebody on like a bus, and then the nigga pulls out a fucking lightsaber that actually works or something. Like that's how crazy life is.
The shit.
Yeah. Slicing up the bus like it's Shang-Chi and shit. And then you like, what? It's a Tuesday.
Yep. Next thing you know, it's me, God. It be the God body. Like, what the fuck is happening? Scientific. Cut your hands off.
Reincarnated. I'm just having a rap battle with myself in heaven.
You just in heaven, like, yo, I think Kendrick Lamar killed me. That's crazy. All right, I'll do one more, guys.
Okay.
It also involves a machete. A man attacks a woman with a machete in Bergen County apartment building. So these machetes are swords. These are not. Yeah.
And they're all in the Northeast.
Yeah. A man was arrested on Tuesday after attacking a woman with a machete in an apartment building. Josu J. Correa of Fairview was charged Tuesday with attempted murder, aggravated assault, possession of a weapon for unlawful purpose, and possession of a weapon. Those seem like two of the same things, but okay. Prosecutors said that just after 10 a.m. Damn, what these early morning sword attacks?
Y'all be careful in the morning.
Motherfuckers setting their alarm to it.
They must be waking up to DMX. There's no way that you don't wake up with some kind of aggressive energy, like DMX, Eminem, or something. Like you
just angry.
Alarm go off in the morning. Y'all won't make me lose my mind.
Yeah, you're not waking up to BG Staying Alive and being like, I'm gonna grab my machete. Like,
right.
You are not just trying to survive today.
They found a 49-year-old woman, the police did, with a large laceration to her head.
Ooh.
She was taking a Hackensack University Medical Center, where she remains hospitalized in stable condition Tuesday night. He fled, but was spotted on River Road in Edgewater, apprehended by the police at the Cliffside Park Police Department. Prosecutors said that an investigation determined that Correa, who lived in the building. Now, see, this is why sword people are crazy. This ain't even a crime you can get away with.
No.
You live there.
Oh, they're gonna find you then.
What the fuck? You gotta come home.
Yeah, you gotta come
This
home.
is not, these motherfuckers that own sword don't even be doing like premeditated attacks. I've never read one of these articles and it was a murder mystery.
No,
man killed with sword in park. Nobody knows who did it. It's always like, and the nigga that did it was running off towards the police station in his drawers, and so he definitely was
machete in his head.
Yeah, and he kept saying, "I cut him."
And the other was running with a damn dog, so of course you're gonna get caught too. You gotta get the dog.
Well, they hadn't identified that man, but they got everything he got on. They gonna find him.
Yes, they are.
Prosecutors said the investigation determined he lived in the building. He struck the woman near the common stairwell with a large machete. He tried to strike her several more times, then left. What does he mean tried to strike her?
I guess
he was just missing.
Missed.
Or maybe she like had something to block him with or something.
Right.
Yeah. possibility.
But then so anyway, he's gonna be facing jail and shit. Brandon, you know what it is. Tell everybody where to go to get the tickets and to find you and all that stuff.
100%, folks. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow me at Frodo_Blackens on Instagram and Threads. Drunk Black History at official Drunk Black History on Instagram. DrunkBlackHistory.com for all of our tour dates. We're going to be in LA, New York, Austin, Detroit, and also Boston. Date coming soon. DrunkBlackHistory.com for all those dates and tickets. Thank you all so much for your support. Really appreciate all your fans that have been shouting us out, that know what the show is, know who's doing the show, and like what they're getting with that. So I really appreciate y'all support, Rod and Karen.
Of course,
Rod, you rocking the Drunk Black History. That's an old t-shirt. That might be worth something because that's the old one with the,
you know what I'm saying? Listen, you know. I'm a day one, dog. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready for Drunk Black History. So that's why I stay drunk. Make sure you guys check them out, man. Like I said,
it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. I've done it before. I've been a member of the audience before. I watched it virtual before. Like every phase of Drunk Black History I've seen. Every single way I've had a good time. Whether I was at home, matching them shot for shot, whether I was in person, getting those drinks in the audience, or whether I was on stage drunk as hell. It's all been fun. And I hope you guys do participate and enjoy it. And look, one day he's gonna be doing this tour. We're gonna look up and be like, he's in Charlottesville now, he's in Tulsa, he's gonna be doing all the racial hotspots, and we're gonna have to hide him in the Underground Railroad and remember that this day happened. So thank you, Brandon, for being here. We'll be back throughout the week. Tomorrow we have a Hornets game, so I don't think we'll be doing a show tomorrow. We want to see LeBron probably dunk on the Hornets.
Yeah, see us get beat. Don't care. LeBron in the house.
And then Tuesday we have the guys from MC University podcast, so we'll be talking more about movies and nerd stuff and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm sure that'll be very fun to catch up with them. So we'll talk to you guys throughout the week. And then Friday, of course, the Rialto Theater, Raleigh, Durham. Make sure you guys show up to that. The Basketball Jones. I'll be there with Bomani and telling him I already knew what he was going to talk about on Drunk Black History. So
that's going to be so funny.
So we'll talk to you guys throughout the week. Until next time, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody.